Here's your daily news roundup from 97.9 WGBW.
From the 97.9 WGBW newsroom, I'm Connie Fellman with this local news update. The Kaukauna School District has placed a teacher on administrative leave following a social media post about the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The post expressed disappointment that the assassination attempt on President Trump failed. The Kaukauna District issued a statement saying they unequivocally reject any behavior that may encourage, condone, or promote violence in any form. They went on to say there is no evidence of a safety risk to students or schools. Wisconsin home sales are on the rise, and they're selling for more money compared to this time last year. That's according to the Wisconsin Realtors Association. They say existing home sales increased 7% this March compared to March of 2025. They also say the buying prices increased as well, with median home prices up 6.5% to $330,000. The association says sales rebounded in March after a slow start in January and February. Do you think you'd notice a speed limit sign that said 17.3 miles per hour? Outagamie County is hoping you do, and it makes you pause long enough to refocus on driving. The Outagamie County Recycling and Solid Waste posted the new quirky speed limit signs yesterday. County leaders say they chose the odd speed limit number to make drivers look twice and snap out of the autopilot we can all fall into when driving familiar routes. They say between haulers, contractors, and residents moving within the gates daily, it's important for drivers to stay alert, for everyone to be safe. The tour bus driver who crashed off I-43, injuring dozens of passengers, pleaded not guilty in court this week. Gabriel Joe Figueroa is charged with 2 counts of knowingly operating with a revoked license causing great bodily harm and 1 count of commercial driving while disqualified. Figueroa was behind the wheel last March when the bus crashed coming off I-43, crossing the 4-lane road, going down an embankment, and narrowly missing a warehouse. Figueroa, identified on Facebook as a tour operator from Illinois who owns the bus, says the brakes failed. The criminal complaint says he passed a field sobriety test and agreed to a blood test after a breathalyzer was negative for alcohol. No trial date was set. Figueroa will be back in court July 9th for a status conference. Former Neenah Mayor and Alderman Dean Coffert announced this week he will not run for re-election as state representative. Coffert says he's retiring at the end of his current term. Coffert's career spans 4 decades in politics, including 6 years as a Neenah alderman. He spent 24 years in the state assembly during his first stint, 8 years as mayor of Neenah, and 2 more years in the assembly. Downtown Green Bay's Shipyard District is getting more pedestrian-friendly. District leaders unveiled new benches and bins along South Broadway, strategically located close to Green Bay Metro bus stops. Leaders say they hope the improvements will make it more attractive for people to walk and bike between local businesses and just spend time in the downtown Green Bay area. With news at the top and bottom of the hour, all day and on demand anytime at WGBW.FM, I'm Connie Fellman, 97.9 WGBW News.
With Civic Media News, I'm Terry Miller. The race for control of the Wisconsin Assembly just got a little harder for Republicans. Representative Dean Coffert says he's stepping aside, leaving behind a swing seat that could be one of the most competitive in November. Coffert spent decades serving in the Neenah-Menasha area. A tax break meant to bring data centers to Wisconsin could cost the state more than $2 billion in lost revenue, according to a Wisconsin Watch report. Analysts say about $1.5 billion would be lost during the construction, with another $369 million each year once the centers are up and running. Supporters argue the projects bring jobs and long-term economic benefits, while critics say lawmakers should revisit the deal and ask for more in return. Some are calling for a special session to look at issues like environmental protections. A federal lawsuit says Dane County deputies used excessive force during a protest at Ridgeland Farms. That's where about 1,000 people gathered to push for the rescue of beagles. 2 protesters claim officers crossed the line during the April 18th demonstration, and the lawsuit also accuses the facility of animal abuse. The sheriff's office says arrests were made for trespassing and other crimes. Ridgeland Farms calls the protest a coordinated, violent assault. Cleaner highways across Wisconsin are the result of record numbers of volunteers joining the Adopt the Highway program. The DOT says nearly 18,000 people are now helping pick up trash along state roads, with more than 170 tons collected last year. With crews already out working, officials are reminding drivers to slow down, stay alert, and move over when possible. They say that extra caution can help keep volunteers safe. More news is available at civicmedia.us.
Brewers baseball tonight. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Brewers take on the Arizona Diamondbacks at American Family Field. The D-backs coming off a 12-7 win over San Diego on Sunday. The Brewers expected to start right-hander Chad Patrick. NFL, the Packers surprised everyone when they traded up to draft a kicker, Trey Smack, out of Florida, as he kicked in cold weather like Green Bay.
I talked to, the Packers, and I grew up in Maryland, so it's not new to me, or, it's always done it. It's kind of how I started out kicking in cold weather.
College basketball, forward Nolan Winter on his decision to return to Wisconsin for his senior year.
I love it here. I've been happy here every year. The teammates I've met, the people I've met, and with the portal, the people that the coaches continue to bring into the locker room, they make it easy for me and all the returners to get to know them and get along, and it's been a blast.
That's the Badgers' Nolan Winter. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
It is going to be partly to mostly cloudy today with a high in the upper 50s to right around 60 this afternoon. Tonight, mostly cloudy, will drop to around 43 for a low tomorrow. A sprinkle or two possible, otherwise partly cloudy with a high in the low to mid-50s. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable.
That's your Green Bay News Roundup from 97.9 WGBW. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And find more news anytime at WGBW.FM.